Hey guys, welcome on back to the Anchorage. I'm Ivan, otherwise known as Shadow Strike, or the Anchorage. And we are going to be covering Linux Mint's blog entry for October of 2025. So we'll be doing that today on Tux Quest. Alright, so before we get started, you'll notice that the camera image is pretty much like it was before, and that's perfectly fine. That was in the last video where everything was just testing out the new camera and it was looking great. So what I did was I brought it back in and it looks a lot better. And on the proton pack there, on the power cell right here, I actually had to put a piece of blue painter's tape over it to kind of diffuse it, because you can see those little the diagonal glare or lens flare-y kind of effect going on. I could fix that if I was to create a floodlight to have up top to flood that whole background, but I don't really want to do that right now, and I don't really want it too bright because I want the focus to be on me. I'm not being conceited or anything or vain or whatever. It's just that, the background should be the background and I should be up front. That's the usual thing. So the camera, I've learned, is not entirely compatible with Linux on a non-stop basis. In other words, it works just fine, but the connection keeps resetting. And I discovered that on a Jitsi call with the guys over at Switch to Linux, where it would drop the signal, and especially through the app, through the Jitsi Meet app. So I fixed that. So what I've got for the setup now is I've got two cameras. So there's this one, and this is actually on the shelf. And I've got the old camera still connected at the on top of the monitor, and they're only a couple inches apart. So I'm just going to live with that. So what we're going to be actually doing today is we're actually going to be covering up on the Linux Mint blog for 2025 of last month, October, and the behavior with the Linux Mint blog is they always release a month's worth of activity, or general amount of activity, at the beginning of the following month. So this month's blog release is for the activity that took place last month, and that's the normal thing that they do. So we're actually going to take a look at that. And here we are out on Firefox, and I've got my monthly news for October 2025 right here. So the first thing they did was, they continued to work on the Cinnamon menu applet. And basically what they wanted to do was be able to move the search bar from the top area here down to the bottom area here. So that's really good. I like that idea because it's closer to the taskbar. I like that. And they were able to position the system buttons, that's these guys right here, over here. Now this is where they were before, and I really like the fact that they are over there, and I like the fact that they're horizontal versus vertical. So, and they also did some work on their troubleshooting tools. So, because they said that despite our best efforts, things don't always work right out of the box, right? And naturally. And so what they did, so now the steps involved in troubleshooting a hardware-related issue usually are finding the cause of the problem, precisely identify the device component or driver, finding out what to do, and applying the recommended solution. So they did some work on that to try to make it a little bit easier. So the System Reports tool was given a plethora of new features and is rebranded as System Information. So that's perfectly fine. So they did that. So in addition to that, System Reports, Crash Reports, and Pages and Tools, they received 4 new pages to show you more information and help you troubleshoot common issues. So the USB page has a detailed view, and everything's grouped together, and we can see an example of it right there. So the GPU page shows information about your default graphics card and its support for hardware acceleration. And then they added a PCI page to give you a detailed look at the internal components of the computer. So we've got a whole lot of stuff going there. And then the BIOS page, you can find out information about your motherboard BIOS version, boot mode, and secure boot. So you can do that. And there's a new tool called System Administrator was also implemented. So let's see, we got under System Information, under Boot menu, we've got everything located right here. That's really good. And so that's what they did with that. So, and now they want to let us know that the LMDE6 end of life, that's what EOL stands for. So basically, the end of life will reach on January 1st of 2026. Past that date, the repositories will continue to work, but the release will no longer receive bug fixes or security updates. So essentially, since I use LMDE6 on my main machine, then I'm going to have to update that. And it's going to be a perfect opportunity to also to update the virtual machine here on this machine. And I might do a video on that. We'll see. Maybe. Could it be for next week? Maybe. I don't know. XSI, XF symbolic icons. So they did they replaced some of the icons. A new XApp project was started called XSI. So basically, XApp symbolic icons, and it's over on GitHub, and there we are. So we've got a bunch of examples here of them, and that's really good. So that's really all that they have going on. I mean, it's a lot of work that they've been doing, and it has been looking very, very good, and it's just fantastic. I really like that. Yeah. So yeah, end of life on LMDE6 is coming up. Granted, we're not even to the middle of November yet, but it's just being, it's them taking a proactive approach on saying, hey, LMDE6, it's not going to be going bye-bye or anything like that. However, it's not going to be supported anymore as of January 1st, 2026. So I use LMDE6 on my main box, Solaria. That's my daily driver. So I'll have to obviously update that, which will be during the month of January, part of my annual updates. And I also have to do it on this machine. This machine, of course, is Windows 10 right now, and it is on the ESU for the upcoming year, but I didn't pay for it. I tweaked a few registry settings, and I get it for free because I don't like Windows. Will I be upgrading this machine to Windows 11? No. It's going to be a little different. This one's going to be updated to Linux Mint Debian Edition 7. And it's still going to be my video box. However, it's going to get that. And I'm also going to have my virtual machines on there as well, including a virtual machine for LMDE 7. And also, I will put a Windows 11 box as a virtual machine. And I actually have right here, got Windows 11 right on this little USB stick with my special install. And I'll be using that. Just need to change the machine name. That's essentially all I got to do. That's it. And that's going to do that. That will also more than likely be in January that I'll do that. So, part of my annual maintenance and everything of that sort. So, that's pretty much it. And if you got this far, I want you to tell me which ESP card is up. Oh, back there. Let me know which one. And we will talk to you in the future. So, thank you very much. And Skál. And we'll talk to you later.